We are live. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to tonight's special guest, the Green Wizard. Everybody say hello to Ron.
Hi, everybody. How are we all doing tonight?
We'll give it a few more minutes to see how many people decide to spring in here, and we'll get started. We have some latecomers. They like to show up in the fancy outfits and be fashionably late.
Well, they also Overlook Valley was had their live going, and they should have been wrapping it up now. And let me take a look here.
That one muted.
And yeah, two Real Geeks should be wrapping it up. Big Dreams Homestead should be wrapping it up. Smith Family Ranch should all be wrapping it up now. And Stony Ridge Farmer should be wrapping it up as well. Those were the big draws at for the last hour.
Right. Okay, so that knocked that down. You went from 7 to 4 that fast. Holy cow.
And we're coming back up again on the watching. We're back up to 7 and 7. You got more people coming in. There's Cecilia.
There's the one that would have to be Smurf, because that's my main computer, not this one.
Yeah.
For future reference.
Wayne G's here. You want me to do a roll call, Dave?
Sure, go ahead. They're tired of hearing my voice anyway.
Huh?
So they're already tired of hearing my voice. They can't hear to see somebody else.
All right. Of course, we got Ron up here in here, so know how prepping. Chuck Schwalder. I know I'm going to butcher that one up. Stu out. I can't pronounce it. I apologize. I'm an idiot. Bobby McNutt, the evil twin. Camp Patton's here. That's me. Phelan Klein Wolf is here adding support. Bedtime Stories of Charles. Dave's here. Green Wizard, of course, again. And then Cecilia, Wayne, and Lori's here. All hail Queen of the North.
Good evening, folks. So I hope you brought your all gardening questions, because that's what this man does.
Even just a little bit. Just a little bit.
I'll give you a heads up. I forgot to mention this earlier. Your arch nemesis may show up.
Arch nemesis?
Howie.
Oh, my buddy. My brother from up north. That's not an arch nemesis. He is right on the same track, buddy.
Yeah, he said he was going to try and pop in tonight.
Yeah, he is on it. That's the direction of the second book. But taking his procedure even further and getting even greater results. Where he's going one direction, there's a few things that he's unaware of, apparently, that he didn't put into his process that will amp that garden up and even make it 10 times better than that. Where you never have to add soil ever again, and it will continue to grow the soil. Not just reproduce it and not feed it, grow the soil. Yeah. It's an incredible process. They've been using it down in the Amazon forever.
Yeah. Well, we got a battle of the queens going on.
Yeah, let them.
Cecilia and Lori were saying who's here first, who's the queen, and they're giggling and laughing at each other.
Yeah, you know how them crazy Canadians are.
I like Lori's response there.
Lori,
she says that's because Howie lives in a tropical rainforest, unlike the rest of us freezing up north.
Well, you have to understand the thermodynamics of your soils. Even up north, even up in Canada, those soils can still be 40 and 50 degrees and still be growing in the food web aspect. So if you fed it well and you keep it blanketed like I warn everybody to do, you could still have a thriving garden going like crazy under the snow and still beat what Howie's doing. It's possible.
First question.
Leaves and compost. Yes, absolutely. Now, what I want you guys to think about is A lot of these greenhouses in the winter, when they tell you they're all shutting down, they move all their chickens, they move all their manure, they move all of their composting inside the greenhouses, and the greenhouses stay warm for a reason. So when you start thinking about blanketing, especially up north, our friends up in Canada, when you guys start thinking about blanketing, that's when you want to start adding your hot additions, the stuff that you want composting and breaking down the most, yet feeding the soil. Because I always say, don't rototill, crack the soil open. Well, you can go through with a shovel and crack that soil open and allow that compost to fall in those cracks. That's how you're getting the organic matter in there. And if you're setting it all up prior to winter hitting and you've got 3 inches of blanket, you have a hot garden bed going all winter long.
I think that's key for even here in the U.S. and the more northern states like Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, where they get the heavier snows, in Vermont, getting that set up in advance, like at the end of spring, or not spring, but the end of summer, and work on it through the fall. So when winter actually does hit, you've actually got something that's growable.
Right. And see, that's the thing. And that's why, and I'm not going to go too far into it. I'd rather be selling the book than giving all the information away.
Exactly.
So that I can develop the other aspects of the second book. But what you're doing when you're adding the organic hot materials to your soils is you're giving the food web something to eat. As the food web is doing its thing, it's heating the soil. That's why composting works. It's the food web in there digesting all of your compostable materials, all of your organic matter. So as you feed this to your soils up north, anywhere, it doesn't matter where, it's going to heat things up all winter long. So I don't care how deep the snow is, you're going to have a hot pocket sitting there. Now, as far as your bale farming, as you're calling it, if you're using alfalfa, you have your roots coming in contact with a natural steroid. As it's breaking down, as it's doing its thing, it's giving it all the nitrogen that it needs. But you're still missing the key factors of the minerals and the vitamins. So doing it in bales and doing it in straw bales and doing it in alfalfa bales, it's going to be growing and it's going to be okay. And you're going to have hot spots, but you're not going to be getting the good materials that you can potentially get if you were to put compost in that bale and give it something to grow on that's going to be fully mineralized. So as you read through the book and you start to understand, mineralizing is everything. Getting all of the different colors of leaves, in other words, into your soil is going to replenish all of the nutrients that you need.
Hence why farmers use clover and stuff like that in their off seasons on their fields so it can put nutrients back in.
Natural nitrogen builder directly out of the air, grows all winter long. So does alfalfa. Mm-hmm. And that's your nitrogen boost. And those are the things. I mean, a lot of people way back in the 1950s, when they first started telling people to, move to the inner cities and start building your houses and start building in communities and what have you, and let's get into lawns, 50% of the seed was clover because it's the natural nitrogen builder. But then the chemical companies came along and said, hey, look, we can make a profit on this. Pull the clover out of there. Clover's a bad thing. Now we start treating the soil like it's chemical dependent. And now we've got all the flooding. We've got all the problems. Clover's a good thing.
Question, Ron. When you mentioned about minerals for the bales, I heard on a couple of other channels some of the homesteaders talking about the mineral blocks, not the salt blocks, the mineral blocks for the cows and stuff. Now, if you take one of those mineral blocks, would that put the minerals in there? It would be helpful for a garden or not?
Those mineral blocks, per Dr. Wallach, and he's big into animal husbandry and got all these degrees and what have you. They have about 50% of the minerals that the animals actually need. The rest they're going to get off of eating the grasses and the hays and the oats and the what have you that we naturally feed them. So if you were to break those blocks up, you're going to get some of the nutrients, not all the 90 that we actually need.
Okay.
The human body needs far more than what that mineral block offers. And what you're going to end up with is a deficient plant growing on it that's not going to have all the minerals that it may potentially need. You could get lucky. Don't misunderstand. I'm not saying that they're not a good idea, but depending on the plant, each plant takes in a certain amount of minerals. That mixture of minerals is what gives you that different flavors. That's why tomatoes don't taste like peppers, and why corn just tastes like corn and nothing else. I mean, each one of them has a combination of minerals to give you that flavor. And that's what they're doing in the grocery stores, is giving you combinations of chemicals to duplicate a flavor. When it isn't actually that flavor, it's a combination of deadly chemicals. We don't want that. We want the actual stuff right out of the garden. So yeah, there are 3 potential sources for really, really good minerals where you're going to get all the mighty 90 that you need. The 90, not only do you need minerals in all of your gardens and all of your plants, there are a few vitamins missing too. Because some of these plants now, yes, they will transition and they will turn certain minerals in combinations into vitamins that we actually need. But there are others that don't. Some of them don't occur in nature. So you're going to need to get them from somewhere. But I digress. I'm going off on a different direction. But yes, to answer your question, yes, you're going to get a good 50%, maybe a little bit more of better soil and better soil content, breaking up those blocks and putting them in your hay bales, putting them in your bales, putting them in your buckets, your pots, in your actual raised beds, in your gardens, in the soil. You're going to benefit yourself greatly. Anything you add to the soil. So the more minerals you can get, the better off you are.
Cool.
And what's great about that, when you think about it, if you go get a mineral block and you break this thing up in an 8-foot bed, 8 foot long, 2 foot wide, whatever, and you spread that out, you have just concentrated that many minerals that are going to take time to break down. You're going to have 3 or 4 years worth of minerals from that one purchase versus the NPK process, which tells you have to buy those minerals every single year or your plants don't survive.
Okay, we got 2. First one's on the screen there.
I'm trying to catch up. I agree. The product stores needs the pigs.
No, up here on our screen. Could you use urine to water it down to be usable for minerals?
It's hot, and it's the minerals that your body is getting rid of, and or all the other animals are getting rid of. It's extra vitamins in some cases, extra minerals in some cases. In some cases, it's stuff that we just do not ingest. So you're taking a 50-50 hot chance that you're going to end up with a excessive amount of mineral that your body didn't take in the first time or the animals didn't take in. So it's a 50-50 shot in the dark on that one. Now, as far as using it as a wild pest deterrent, absolutely. Around the outside of your bed, a foot, 2 away, to take some of that and put that around so that when the rodents come in and they come in contact with that smell, it backs them off, because it's not going to burn the soil and it's not going to stop the food web, but you're not going to be putting in extra minerals that your plants don't need. That's the whole point of the food web. The food web goes out and actually brings back, not the roots, the food web brings back the minerals that your plants actually need. That's why it's so important. And that's why the guide is written the way it's written. It's about taking care of your lawn and your garden. They both are symbiotic. They work together. You have to treat them both the same. So if you're upping your minerals in your garden, up around the garden and around the garden bed, you got to understand the food web will travel out to a mile to bring back the minerals that it needs, because that's what the plant is asking for. It's an incredible process, and I describe all of it and tell you how to take care of all of it in the Green Wizard's Guide.
Super Thrive.
Should I start seedlings inside and transplant in the straw bales? Yes. Yes. Because you're controlling the atmosphere and you're waiting until the right temperatures hit before you transplant. But then when you go to transplant, don't just stick them out there. Take them out there, leave them out there for half an afternoon, bring them in. Take them out there because they're not going to be ready for the instantaneous amount of sunlight, direct sunlight, unfiltered sunlight, air, rain, all the elements that you're going to throw it into. You have to slowly walk it into those elements to get the plants to do the best they possibly can.
Is Super Thrive okay?
Super Thrive. I've not heard of it.
Either.
I don't want to answer that incorrectly. Hold on. Any other questions while I'm looking this up real quick?
Not at the moment.
All right, somebody show me the bottle. No.
No.
Artificial hormones in it. Absolutely not. No. You want nature's hormone, nature's steroid, get alfalfa. The alfalfa pellets that we feed our rabbits, that we feed our horses and what have you, stick that in your soil. There's your natural steroid. There's your natural hormone builder. We feed it to our horses that racetrack and they don't get chemically tested and fail it because of other stimulants. That's a stimulant. That is a chemical. Do not use that in your garden. Absolutely not. No, run from that.
Any other questions, folks? Don't
I'm
be
going
shy.
back. I'm going back in the chat to see if we missed anything.
Oh, it's right on the main label that it's loaded with hormones. I'm looking right at the label. I'm looking at the description and everything that's in it. And it's got a chemical hormone in it. Let me blow it up even bigger just to see. And that's the whole idea that they've been teaching everybody, and that's where our issue comes from. Is everybody is diving into the chemicals, and the chemicals are the problem. That's what has caused all of these conditions. That's why our food has been so bad for 35 years. That's why nothing at the grocery store is healthy anymore. And that's why the obesity has taken over our country. And that's why, this virus is ravaging the country because people aren't healthy. It is storming through our people uncontrollably because, every chemist out there is trying to sell you another chemical, another steroid, another this, another, and they're all chemicals. We have to get the system off the chemicals. The NPK system, where they tell you is 3, is actually 12 separate chemicals. The nitrogen, the phosphate, the potassiums, and all of that stuff. You need 90 plus going into your soils. And they've been teaching everybody there's only the 12-point system that you need on the NPK process. Meanwhile, the clay beds are rising in our yards. The grass can't hold on. You've got clay everywhere. Everywhere is flooding. We have to get away from the chemicals. If you go into a store to buy anything for your garden and you flip the bag over or you flip the box over, or you flip the liquid over, and there are numbers on there in the description of what's in it, run. Do not buy that product because you're just adding chemicals. If there's words on it you can't pronounce, run. It's a chemical. You do not want that in your yard in any way, shape, or form. And remember, especially, and I was extremely stringent about this because I have pets and kids playing in my yard and what have you. And everything in the Green Wizard's Guide is organic. Everything has been tested. My animals eat this stuff. I walk in it barefoot. The kids come and play in my yard. We have no issues. I have no bugs. My yard is thriving. There's no clay anymore. I can't even reach it. It's like 8 feet deep or more. I can't even reach the clay bed when I send the probe down. It is all all natural, and your soils will continue to grow and go deeper and deeper. You will reclaim all of your clay. That's the one I was just looking at. It's right there. Hormones, vitamins and hormones. Absolutely not. That's a chemical.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you're looking at the chemical breakdown right on the label on the back.
Yeah. And just because it's used by the Department of Agriculture, Army, Navy, Air Force, etc., doesn't mean it's good.
No, all those
Right
the way you have to think about this is look at all of our farms right now. All of our farms flooded out from a quarter inch of rain. Have you ever heard anything so ridiculous in your life? We have put so many chemicals on this planet, everywhere on this planet, from chemtrails through the NPK process, that we have turned all of our yards into clay and stopped topsoil. There's no more topsoil because we have basically killed off and shut down the food web. We've got to reverse that. We have to get away from the chemicals. If you read a bag for something that you want to add to your garden, or you heard some new trick, look at the ingredients. If there's a word on there you can't pronounce, or if there is a chemical breakdown number on that bag in its description of what the ingredients are, do not use it. Run from it, please, and restore your yard. Soak up every drop. I was watching today. We had rain today all over Cleveland, and I was out driving around. My mistake. Oh my God, these people are losing their minds. All these yards flooding from the little bit of rain we were getting today. I come home, I look in my yard, no flooding anywhere. The water is soaking in as fast as it falls out of the sky. That's what your garden should be doing, and your yard should be doing. And the Green Wizard's Guide tells you exactly how to do it without making any mistakes, saving a ton of money and not making the mistakes I made. And you'll have a good laugh because I put it together in a way that it's not as serious as I'm coming across right now. It's a fun read. It's a 2-hour read, and I give you every answer to every question as to what I did and how I did it and why.
All right.
Hey, what's going on?
Whoa. Get some feedback there. If you want to know whether something's safe to use or not, look up the name of the product and type in MSDS after it. That tells you what you have to use in order to clean up any accidental spill with said item. And if it says you have to use an alcohol-based product to clean it up, it's not something you want to use. Okay, what I've got on the screen is the MSDS for Super Thrive. Okay, and if you see there, it says isopropyl alcohol and an acid after it. I wouldn't want to put that in my plants. That's just me.
Okay, so
Hey,
what you're looking for, there's a company at Fish's Gloves, to answer that question. There's a company in Canada. They're working on bringing the product here in the United States. They can't deliver it across the border. It's no longer allowed. They have a recipe. It is, and it's in my book too. And I can't, the name's just not popping into my head real quick. Oh shoot. What's that second company, Bobby? Gaia, Gaya, Gaia, as in, Mother Earth, Gaia. That company is selling a mix of the organic materials that they harvest from the glacier rock and powdering it. And then they are turning around and they are pelletizing it with natural nitrogens of bat guano and one or two other ingredients that he told me I'm not allowed to repeat. They are producing a product at Gaia that has a substance that matches exactly what you're talking about, that has all of the minerals and the nitrogens all in one that you can put directly into your gardens. And understand, anytime you treat your garden, like when you mineralize, if the package says that you need to wear a mask and or have gloves on when you mix this product because it is such a highly concentrated and dangerous product, don't put that on your yard. Think about that. If it's that toxic, you don't want that anywhere near your yard. That's why I say, if you're going to wash anything out in your yard, use Dawn kitchen soap. It is animal safe and friendly. Not the antibacterial stuff, just regular Dawn dish soap. Wash your yard, wash your sidewalks, wash your car, because it hurts nothing, but it chases away all oil-based products. It flushes them out of your yard.
All right, I found something here on Amazon called Gaia Green. Is that what you're talking about?
That's the company, yes.
You want to throw that up there, Dave?
Working.
There we go. So that's on Amazon. And I will throw the link up for that. There you go. Evil Twin threw it up there.
Sound cool.
So
All-purpose fertilizer 444. That's probably the new one.
Yeah.
That's probably the new product I talked to him about.
And this is
I talked to the company owner that was formulating this, because obviously when you write a book and you put somebody in it, you have to have legal authorization to talk about their products. So I talked to this guy for hours to find this stuff out before it was ever released to market. And I had to wait for him to tell me the product is released. You can go ahead and talk before I could release the book, because I couldn't be ahead of him.
Right. And then they have a.
Oh wait, Texan had a question. What am I missing? 4 hydro growers. Yeah. Let me scroll back. I'll catch up. Now, obviously, if I'm missing a question, just shout it out, capitalize it. If you guys have asked a question and I didn't catch it, please feel free, retype it, capitalize it so I see it.
There it goes.
Oh, alfalfa, if you planted it already, just crack the soil open and lay it in. What you're going to find is when the rain hits, it's going to soak in anyways. Those little pellets break down and will become a powder. They'll soak right into the soil and feed everything. But you can just crack the soil in between the rows and feed it that way. And
here's the other one they have out there is the Gaia Green 284. And it lists everything: fish with ingredients, fish bone meal, bone meal, glacial rock dust, mined potassium sulfate, fossilized carbon complex, rock phosphate, green sand, kelp meat, gypsum, bat guano.
There's the one. That's it. That's the one, everybody. That's the one we're talking about.
That's the new one. That's a little bit more expensive, but price Canadian dollars.
But that's the one we're talking about. Get that sucker and get that into your hay bales, and that's going to take care of the problem. Hey, Mr. Jerry's Woodworking, how's it going, buddy? And there's the man that can tell you. We're talking about the flooding situation, and me trying to point this out. Jerry was suffering from that issue. His wife read the book. She went out and applied this process to the yard, and in 2 weeks' time, 2 weeks' time, the flooding problem was gone in Jerry's yard. Now, of course, I'm Jerry's worst enemy because I'm burning up every lawnmower he can get his hands on, but that's a completely different scenario. We're not talking about that. It works that well that when this man comes home to cut grass, he's got a forest on his hands, but he's never had a yard this green. He's never had stuff growing this well in his yard before. This system goes to work that fast and gets rid of the oil-based chemicals and gets the compounds out of your yard. And you got to remember, if you're not getting this stuff out of the yard while the planes are still flying over and cars are still driving by, it's still going to soak into your soil. You need to get it all out of there. You follow the Green Wizard's guide, and you don't need to be adding this stuff every single year. That's not the point. The point of the guide is once you've treated your yard and gotten it to this point, it continues to reproduce year after year. You might only have to do it every 3 years. That's a huge difference from following the NPK process of what? $200, $300 a year that you have to keep reapplying just to keep your yard growing a little, versus this system, which The yard just grows. It doesn't stop. You don't need to continually add stuff, and it just continues going. And you put the money back in your pocket every year. The 511. That might be okay, but that's a boost of nitrogen if it's the one I'm thinking it is.
While you look that up, I'll give you some coffee.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's fine. But again, that's just a nitrogen boost. Okay, all you're doing is amping up the nitrogen. You can get exactly the same thing from a little bit of compost. You can get exactly the same thing from composted and or allowed to dry and washed out coffee grounds will give you the same nitrogen boost. Planting clover throughout your garden will give you the same nitrogen boost because it pulls all the nitrogen directly out of the air and turns it into crystals that it deposits into the soil. You have to keep your soils covered at all times, whether it be high grass, whether it be clover, whether it be you putting leaves in, whether it be you putting hay in. You never want your soil exposed to the sun. So fill your garden with clover and let the natural nitrogens amp up your feed and amp up your garden naturally versus getting in here and putting some of this other stuff down.
Okay, so I just noticed something here that the both these Gaia Green on Amazon are on Amazon Canada.
So they're not available in the United States yet.
Doesn't look like it. But hey, I just created a wish list on Amazon Canada. So when it becomes available in the US.
Right, and that's just going to give you your amped up nitrogen mineralized boost.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, something you don't need to do every year to your entire yard.
Yeah.
You need to do this like every other year, every third year. Because you cannot over mineralize your yard, but you can over nitrogen your yard and burn every plant. See, that's the issue when you start talking about some of these other fertilizers and some of these other products. They're amped up and let's call it dehydrated in a sense. They're a mastered version of a nitrogen builder. And as soon as you put that thing down, you've got something that can potentially burn your skin. What's that going to do to your plants and your roots? Do you really want something that heavy, that toxic, bleeding into your soil when all you need to do is plant clover, plant beans next to your corn? It's going to do exactly the same thing and leave nitrogen behind. Plant radishes and never harvest them. It's natural nitrogen builder directly in your soil.
I just discovered something here. I did a research through Amazon doing some digging and stuff. You can get it in the US, the 444 Gaia Green.
Okay.
It's from other sellers. And I'm trying to get the other one. The other one coming up here, the Power Bloom is a 284, also available from other sellers, but it is available in the US through these other sellers.
He was working on getting a factory here that could reproduce exactly the same product for him so that it could be sold here in the US. He couldn't ship it across the border, but they can chemically mix it together and sell it here in the US. That's what we were waiting for on the book release.
All right. So what I will do is I will post, oh wow, that's a long link. That's a shorter link. I'll put the shorter link to the Power Boost one here. I'll put that in there. No, I didn't want that.
Now, for those of you that can't compost and you want a garden, and you're going to be doing raised beds and what have you. You can do pot composting, where you take a bucket, cut the bottom off, and throw all of your kitchen scraps directly in that bucket with holes drilled in it so that the worms can come and go, and that will naturally compost in your yard. That will naturally compost into your garden and slowly feed off the compost and deliver direct nitrogen. The worms will carry it everywhere they need to go. But there's another product not covered in my book. We didn't have enough time, and I didn't have the authorization at the time. I've since talked to the owner. Wow, do I even have that link open? Probably not. Nope, I do not. It is called Bloomin' Minerals. It is all the vitamins and all the nutrients pre-compost. It was never a composted material that was trapped in rocks way back in the glacier age, way back in the ice age. It was an entire forest that basically got blanketed over and turned into rocks before it could compost. You want to talk about something that's going to turn your yard around, turn your garden around? The product called Bloomin' Minerals. Absolutely phenomenal for a mineral boost in your yard.
Blooming.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to find that on Amazon.
Just in case, never can tell what'll pop up. Nope. Not on Amazon.
Did you see the question from Overbuilt? It's right there on the screen.
Nope. Okay, let me find my link.
Okay.
All right. Oh, wait. Yeah, I don't.
What's
No,
that?
just a minute. I got it over here. I keep forgetting I'm in the channel on the other computer that had the actual link ready to go. There's a link for Bloomin' Minerals.
Overbuilt asks, does the book tell one how to plant to deter bugs?
Okay, when you have correctly mineralized your garden and your plants are healthy, understand bugs invade your garden and your flower beds and your yard when it's not healthy. That's Mother Nature trying to take out the unhealthy plants. When they're correctly mineralized and they're doing things the right way and the food web is thriving, they put out a natural defense that keeps the bugs away. Unhealthy plants do not. They're not healthy enough to produce those chemicals throughout their stalks and throughout the fruits and the vegetables. So what I'm saying is plants have a natural defense. When they're unhealthy, you have bugs invading your garden. When they're healthy, the bugs don't come around because the natural defenses are there fending them off, putting out chemicals that are toxic to the bugs. So as you build a better yard and a better garden, you have fewer and fewer and fewer bugs, all naturally. And yes, there are some other tricks. There are some other things you can use, like planting garlic in your yard and in your flower beds. And you wouldn't want to do it on heavy like I do. But what that seems to do to the soil a good 30 feet away from where the garlic is growing is make it all naturally flea and tick free. The fleas and ticks don't even land in my yard because of the garlic. So if you start growing a little bit of garlic around your garden, in your flower beds, around your yard becomes flea and tick free all naturally. You don't even have to think about it. Now think about the other side to this. One of the things that is in my book as a yard wash, the chemical that is being used in the Dawn soap dehydrates certain bugs and breaks down their shells. They can't fly anymore. They can't walk anymore. They can't move anymore, because once they're dehydrated, they're done and they die off. So you can legitimately wash your yard and kill off a ton of bugs just by them landing in that spray or landing in those bubbles.
Yeah.
So yes, this Green Wizard's Guide covers all of that.
Yeah. Box elder, bug skeet, soap.
Well, yeah, like I said, overbuild. Grow garlic. It's a natural defense. You can actually grow garlic and harvest it 3 times a year, depending on where you live in the United States. It grows all winter long. It grows great in the summer, and you can actually grow and pull a fall stock of garlic. You can grow it everywhere 3 times a year.
Hey, Dave, I got that image up there for the blooming minerals. So this is the page for that link that he put out there, and then you kind of scroll on down, and there's the
bag.
There's the bag. There's the price.
Now that's for a very, very large yard. Don't misunderstand. That is the 50-pound bag. That is the cheapest way to get it for the largest amount of content you can get. So
I got 2.5 acres.
That's perfect. That's perfect. You'll use that bag twice a year and wipe out the bag. So you're basically going to put down 10 pounds per acre, in a sense. So you're going to wipe out 20 pounds the first round, 20 pounds the second round, and you're good to go. And that's 2-3 years worth of minerals going into your soil. Oh yeah, Texan, garlic has all sorts of different uses. It is a tremendous antibiotic. If you mix it with local honey, it is actually a weight loss program. You can actually drink the garlic and honey 20 minutes, 30 minutes before you go to bed and cause natural weight loss by kicking in your metabolism overnight. I've heard about beer. So was peeing out in the tree causing excess of nitrogen. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You can cause different problems. I mean, don't misunderstand. You overdo anything. That's why I warn, using a specific nitrogen builder like a fish this or what have you. And I'm not saying they're bad. Dilute the living daylights out of it. My best warning to anybody, if you've got stuff in your garage that you still want to burn off that is natural, that is a nitrogen builder, what have you, only use it at 10% strength. Increase the amount of water you're mixing it with that much, because a lot of times these manufacturers are giving you almost to the danger level of what you're allowed to put down on the plant so that you come back and buy more next year. They're not telling you how toxic some of this stuff can actually be. Use 10% of what the bottle actually says. Mix it down that much to be safe.
Yeah, Lori asked a question there about the garlic and honey.
Yeah. What am I missing?
I guess she wants more information on. She only caught part of it.
Okay, if you take your garlic cloves and you open them up and you get just the little pieces, okay, you can mince that down, and then you mix that with your local non-pasteurized honey. Get a hold of your local beekeepers for this stuff, because that's gonna be the one that's gonna amp up your system to stop any and all allergies from all of the pollens, so that when you naturally get sick because the pollen's in the air and you got the breathing problems, and it's because you've got an immune system that can't handle it. You're not healthy, but you go in and you put in honey ahead of it, and you've got the natural antibodies built in. So always use local, non-pasteurized honey. But mince the garlic, put it in a little jar, pour the honey in on top of it and let it sit. And all you need is a tablespoon a night before you go to bed. Just as your stomach's starting to growl a little bit, feed it some honey and some garlic, and the weight loss is natural because the system kicks in naturally and you'll just start losing weight.
Can you read it to me?
What was that?
Old man was wanting to know the price of that bag.
Oh, the price of this bag. The price of the bag, it says retail price is $90.99. Wholesale price is $72.95.
762. Yep, absolutely. There you go. That'll stop most of them.
So, yeah.
Okay, what's going on there, Brastard, is a lack of mineral access because of the clay condition. Your roots cannot reach out, and the food web cannot reach out to get a hold of the minerals that those plants need. Now, I'm not sure if Jerry's still in here or not, but he's got a plant, a fruit-bearing plant, tree, what have you, that has suffered for years and struggled. This last year, that thing took off like a rocket after mineralizing the soil. What you're doing by amping up your soil and amping up the conditions and following the Green Wizard's guide is getting rid of the clay, opening the soils back up, allowing the minerals to get back to those plants so that your fruits stop being sick and get to their full size. We've over harvested in a sense, and using the NPK process, we have turned our yards into nothing but clay beds and rock, and nothing will soak in, nothing will grow, nothing is healthy. And now we're turning to the grocery stores for even more unhealthy food that lives on the NPK process. The Green Wizard's Guide is the solution to being healthy. The Green Wizard's Guide is the solution to getting rid of bugs. Like Jerry said, the solution is in the book. When you understand how the food web works and you understand how simple it is, Mother Nature laid it all out for us. How simple it all is to just treat it Mother Nature's way. It's incredible what your yard can produce. I started a bunch of years ago, and we'll just go with the tomatoes because it's the best example. My neighbor handed me 10 tomato plants. I got maybe 100 pounds of tomatoes, maybe. When I started into my process, I'm down to 3 plants and getting 600 pounds of tomatoes off of 3 plants, not 10. That's how much better your soil is capable of becoming when you get it back to where it was 35 years ago, before the NPK process. And like I said, you can turn this around in 2 weeks. It's that simple. It's very easy. And you don't work harder. In a sense, you work smarter. You're not weeding your gardens anymore. That's done. You stop weeding. You never see a weed again because you wipe them out before you ever plant a food. Before you do anything, you're wiping out the weed seeds. You no longer need them.
Another question coming up on screen.
Do you go over small trees, plants next to large?
Things she's talking about in the book. Do you cover that in the book?
Yeah. All of the stuff is covered. I have held nothing back. In 114 pages, I cover everything. Everything you need to know to understand what's going on in the soil.
Yeah.
Actually, Brastard, what you actually need, believe it or not, is you actually need clay. And you can grow a garden in that sand. Right. But see, that's the whole point. And the Green Wizard's Guide covers all of this.
Dave, you want to throw up my thing?
When you have all the conditions right and you understand how the food web affects the entire food chain, and you understand how to feed it to bring it to life immediately and really get going, I don't care where you live, they are growing huge. And I mean, we're talking acres and acres and acres of gardens in the Sahara Desert. Over in Egypt, they are growing huge gardens in the sand. And we're talking about everything from peppers, tomatoes, the whole 9 yards, because they're understanding to support the food web brings these plants back to life. They're turning sand areas back into full-blown farms that sustain themselves just by following the instructions and understanding what it is that the food web is and what it's doing in your soil and how we've destroyed it. As soon as you start to have that understanding and you start to walk around your yard, and you're going to actually start seeing the problems in your own yard and not even need the guide, because you're going to understand, okay, that's missing organic matter. Okay, this is over here and this is flooding, so this needs more of this specific mineral. And as soon as I start adding that, the flooding stops and the clay starts to dissipate. So if I add a little bit more and I add some more seed, and this area over here, you know, it's showing more soil than it needs to be, I can throw some clover down and cover that up, and all of a sudden it's going to start recovering and start turning back into topsoil again. Topsoil will continue to grow deeper and deeper into your yard. The scientific studies are out there, and a lot of colleges are finally starting to report this. They went out and did a big study in North Carolina. No, it wasn't North Carolina. Somewhere, whatever. It's here in the United States. Doesn't matter what state it is. Everywhere they've checked, it's been the same. They went into an old farm, 70 years old. Nothing had been done there. Nobody had touched it. Hadn't been farmed. They slid plexiglass down into the soil. 40 feet deep they went with the plexiglass, and that's how deep the roots were growing in an all-natural condition. And it was 40 feet deep of topsoil. We should have topsoil from bedrock to the surface, and that's what's capable in your yard and in your garden when you understand what the food web is and start feeding the food web and start taking care of the soil, making sure nothing is uncovered. It's incredible what this system can do. And most people, you know, and here we are, we're facing the coronavirus, and I didn't want to go here, but we're facing the coronavirus, and the people that are getting the sickest and the people that are having the worst of the problems are the ones that don't have access to good food, the mighty 90 minerals that we actually need in our diets on a daily basis. When you can get that out of your garden just by fixing the soil, you can grow all of that in your yard. I don't care how old you are. Anyone from the age of 10 through Bobby McNutt can grow a garden and not have a problem. And it's simple. I mean, I've written it in such a way that it's entertaining and it's basic that you know, and I kid Bobby about it because it's just one of them things. But this man loves his crayons, and I've left blank pages in there for him to take notes, but he drew pictures instead. He read the book and understood it the first pass. It's that simple. You don't need a scientific textbook in front of you to understand how Mother Nature works. You just need the explanation. It is extremely simple to understand. I've laid it out in I did write the big book. It was 500 pages, and it killed me to even attempt to read it. I threw it away and started over. And this thing's been in the work for 5 years. You're getting 15 years worth of my mistakes and my understanding in this book, and given every detail you possibly need to understand this, to make this work for you and to get your yard the healthiest it can be this year. Not waiting till next year in the process. We're talking in weeks this system goes to work, and you can have the best plants possible going to full fruition that have all the minerals that it possibly needs and give you food you haven't tasted in 35 years in this country. Any country for that matter, because we're all living on the NPK system, and it's tearing us apart. It's giving us the obesity. It's knocking us down. It's destroying us.
Okay, we do have one up on the screen right there.
Oh, is there a certain wood? Any hardwoods, the better. Pine is not the best. Don't misunderstand. In time, pine is okay. The pine tar is the problem. The pine sap won't help your garden at all. But any of the hardwoods, burn them all and use all those ashes for minerals. Dump everything in your garden, every ash you can find.
Microzoa. You talk about it in the book?
Microzoa. That's just part of the food web. If it's the thing I'm thinking it is. Roundup, shut up. Hey, old man, stop. Don't ever. Holy, somebody boot him from the room for 30 seconds. Old man, never, ever. Don't start cussing at me and coming around. No.
No. He said
Roundup.
he said his neighbors are using it, not him.
Oh my God, they're killing you. File a lawsuit against them. Absolutely not. That is the most toxic material on the planet. You can't even get that out of the water table once it's in it. At 100,000 parts per million, it's toxic to human beings. It is, oh my God, is it deadly? Absolutely not. Wow. Yes, put a cease and desist order on your neighbors. Oh my God. Give them a copy of my book and let them understand what they're doing to nature. Holy cow.
His neighbors would probably look at the book and draw like Bobby did.
Yeah,
Get with me, Bobby. I'll send you a couple boxes.
Bobby being there with his crayons. Now, for those of you that can't, Bobby McNutt every once in a while will do a random giveaway, and he does give away my book every once in a while. So you just never know. You keep an eye on Bobby McNutt, you may come across a free copy of it. Anything is possible. You never know with Bobby. That is one of the most supportive channels I have ever seen. Let's see. 25. Wax. Okay, they're still goofing off. That's fine.
Sorry about that, Bobby. I have to go back and resubscribe.
Yeah, Bobby, he made the mistake of lending the book to a friend 30 miles away and hasn't seen the book or his friend since. Ow.
That explains that.
What'd you do now?
No, YouTube being, unsubscribing and then dinking stuff. I hadn't seen anything from him for a while. I totally forgot about him because I hadn't seen anything. And with everything else going on, I had to go back and resubscribe.
Well, we were contending with that troll issue. So he's been down and quiet and actually learning editing and doing a phenomenal job. And doing some other things in the process. So he's been creating videos in the background. He just hasn't really been running live streams as much. But you just never know with Bobby. You never turn your back on that man. You just never. I mean, he could have a day without crayons and actually want to go live streaming the entire day. The last time I checked, and we've been doing something in the background, he's been up and going now for almost 48 straight hours. You just never know with Bobby. You just never know.
I had a lot of videos here I missed from him.
All right. So any other questions we can potentially get into and or head after?
Well, you brought it up, and I'll stay away from the mic so we don't get the feedback. But, this virus does bring up the need for people to actually get out of the house into the yard and start growing.
Yes.
Because and people don't want to hear it. They call it fear mongering, but all they got to do is look at the other countries that this is affected, that are currently in. Well, we're actually worse shape than most of them now. We surpassed France, but their transportation systems are affected, which is the just-in-time delivery system, which this country relies so heavily on. None of my neighbors have more than 4 days worth of food in their house.
Yep.
And they're going to the store now and panicking. Oh my gosh, I can't find no food. Well, here we can't grow nothing, but they have family here. I don't, that have gardens. And if they get off their duff and go work in those gardens for even 2 hours a day, they'd have more food than I've got.
Right.
And people aren't understanding the severity of this. when the trucks stop, because guess what? When, you know, LA's already shelter in place, New York City's fixed to go shelter in place. I see Ohio going full state shelter in place here pretty quick.
Yeah, we're headed there.
That's just presenting the facts, folks. It's not fear mongering, it's fact. You know, and like I've said in the past, if facts scare you, then it's not the facts that are a problem. It's your mind, your mental state.
Yeah. Hey, Dave.
Yes.
I was on the phone earlier talking with Scott, Hidden Valley Homestead. He's down there in LA and on the crane stuff. And they were, with those shelter in place orders were coming out. Two counties issued the same wording, but one said, no, this is what we mean. They had to redo a retraction on it. And the other one said this, but LA County has listed a whole bunch of businesses that are considered essential. And the construction industry, because all the construction work going on out down there is considered essential. Plus the fact they listed they're outdoors and they're not all crowded together.
Right.
Naturally, in a construction industry, you got 10, 12 feet between guys as they're running around doing things. So, you know, a lot of companies there are, LA's trying to keep the economy going, but they just want, if you're not busy, if you're not essential to keeping other stuff going, stay at home, get healthy, allow this to skip over you, pass you by, and be okay.
The virus really needs to get people thinking back to where my mom was when I was a kid, where we always had a half acre of vegetables and corn and pumpkins and all this other stuff. And a half acre of yard, my mom would can in the middle of summer and in the beginning of fall enough canned goods to last us 2 or 3 years. Unfortunately, a lot of that was lost when we moved and our landlord stole it. But you know, the point is, it doesn't take long to build up a stockpile if you take a little bit of time to go out there. And it doesn't take a lot of time once you get your soil fixed. It only takes a couple hours a day to go out and, you know, make sure the beans are propped up so they're not laying on the ground, or, you know, lay your squash over a different way or whatever. But just a little bit of time every day, and you're going to have more than enough food for you and your family.
Yeah. I mean, the snow finally melted here and we had a day of sunshine, and my daughter and son-in-law were out there in the garden, getting their stuff ready, cleaning it up and getting ready to put in more, planter boxes and stuff to get, the garden going so we can start getting more, fresh vegetables and stuff here the natural way.
Well, here another study was done, and what they're saying under the NPK system, that 1 acre of garden will feed 5 people all year long. So it only takes an acre. Now, remember I said I went from 10 plants under the NPK system giving me 100 pounds of tomatoes to 3 plants giving me 600 pounds. What do you think you can feed in that 1 acre under the Green Wizard system, under the natural organic system? You're not
20 or 30 people.
Exactly. So when you're talking about, well, I've only got potters, or I've only got this, or I've only got that, under the Green Wizard system, you're going to get maximum possible available. Corn, just as an example, corn 50 years ago used to grow 12 to 18 feet tall. You're lucky if you see an 8-foot corn plant now because of the NPK system. When you get back to the NPK system, you're going to get back to the 12-foot and the 18-foot tall corn stalks and be feeding a lot of people. Not just a few, a lot of people.
Yeah, my pastor looked up the average size of corn and, you know, how many per stalk. And the average right now for regular corn is 1, maybe 2 ears per stalk.
Right.
And the average of 800 kernels per ear. But I remember when I was a kid looking at the cornfield, because I lived next to cornfields, you know, almost as tall as the semi-trailer my dad hauled his cattle in.
Right.
And now they're not much higher than the Jeep I used to have.
Exactly. And nobody is piecing this together. It's because we've got off the organics and went the NPK system. And the sad part is that the government subsidizes the NPK farms, not the organic farms that produce the real food. You got to question why. and I don't want to get into conspiracy theory, and I don't want to get my tinfoil hat out, but the proof is in the pudding. When 3 tomato plants can put out that many tomatoes on a natural system, and what are we getting out of an NPK system that's not good for you?
You're lucky to get a hand.
Right. And that, well, yeah, and I'm glad you brought that back up, Texan, because I meant to mention that. And I'll go off on this other tangent real fast, so don't let me forget sunflowers. But you got to understand, a pack of tomatoes, a pack of seeds, any plant, a pack of seeds is what, 89 cents, $1, depending on where you go. And you're talking about heritage, you're talking about organic, you're talking about good, wholesome seeds that have no GMO to them whatsoever. And you can get 150 plants out of one pack of seeds. How much food can you produce in your yard in the next 90 days, the next 120 days? That's what people have to understand. They can do you can do some incredible things with just a little bit of knowledge. And when you apply this to your yard, just stand back, look out, because here it comes. Sunflowers.
Yep. Give me a second.
Sunflowers is a all natural heavy metals remover from your soils. If you think for any reason you have heavy metals, whether it be the color of the clay or the color of your dirt or what have you, and you think there's concentrated chemicals, concentrated heavy metals in your yard, grow sunflowers. I even suggest growing sunflowers in your gardens every 2 to 3 years and throw them away. They pull the heavy metals out of the soil and neutralize them. They stop them dead in their tracks, and you throw the plant away. Never pull the roots of any plant. Cut them down. Never pull the roots. Leave the roots alone. You don't need crop rotation. You need the roots left alone to feed the food web all winter long. But you can clean your yards and clean your soil just by growing sunflowers every couple of years.
Yeah, I was going back to the chat here looking for some questions we missed. There was one here from Old Man. He said, what about getting rid of old gunpowder by throwing it on your grass?
Yeah, won't hurt a thing. Like I said, sunflowers will pull out toxic chemicals. If you have an excess, there are a few plants that you can grow that I covered in one of my videos on my channel. So you can just go back, Old Man, and listen to some of my old videos. But I've gone over some of those plants that specifically pull out gunpowders and old munitions out of soils and do some incredible jobs. What you're going to find when you get your hands on the Green Wizard's Guide is that there are empty blank pages. They're in there for a reason. They match up the videos on my YouTube channel. You can actually go to my YouTube channel with that blank page and fill in the information, as well as put in your own notes. No other book is out there that is actually built and designed for the gardener with a dirty thumb that's not going to get his fingers on the text, because I shoved everything over so that your dirty, greasy, dirt-ridden hand does not smudge the paper. I've given you blank pages in the book so that you can keep all your notes together. And my website, The Green Wizard, and the book, The Green Wizard's Guide, work hand in hand. Page 59 is a recipe for getting rid of weeds and killing off weeds and gravel driveways and stuff and stopping them dead cold in their tracks. It's not in the book. No, it's on the Green Wizard channel. Just write down the recipe. I give you everything you need. I've held nothing back.
One other thing is if you're growing, let's say you grow tomatoes and squash and cucumbers and one or two radishes or onions, the excess that you don't need, take to your local co-op on a Wednesday or Saturday, whatever your local co-op is at the local park, and you can trade your excess off for the stuff you need, because that's how some farmers work. They'll take a bunch of excess, they'll go to the co-op, and they'll put up a little stall, and you guys go barter back and forth. And while you might not be growing actual corn, they're not growing radishes. Well, they want radishes, you want corn, you swap back and forth. That's one benefit to having the ability to produce extra in such a fashion using this book.
Well, thanks, Overbuilt. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Look, it's been a 15, 16-year process. And my yard is incredible. I can't park anything in my grass because it sinks. If I put my car in my front yard, it sinks in hours, and I have to pull it back off the yard because I now have ruts. The great thing about the NPK, or I'm sorry, the great thing about the organic material in my soils is it pushes that soil right back up in a day, 24 hours, and those same ruts that I put in the yard are gone. They fix themselves. It's an incredible system when you feed it the right way and you take care of it. My neighbors bugged me for years, which was the whole inspiration for writing this book. They wanted to know what I was doing. How was I getting these results? How did I go from the weed king to all of a sudden being the green wizard in a year? So I decided I was going to write all this information down for them. And I come into this book that just poured out of me that was absolutely phenomenal. And it's a fun read. 2 hours time and you're done with the book. And you've got to go back and reread it to get all the details out because you were laughing so hard going through the book. So I've spent 5 years putting this book together and getting it up to speed so that I could bring it out to market last February, a year ago. And we attempted a YouTube launch that didn't go great, but that's okay. I'm not giving up on the book. I just have to go different routes to get this information to you guys. You guys, I've been talking about it for over a year and you're just now hearing it in some cases. That's kind of the problem with YouTube. If we're not all socializing and spreading amongst each other, you know, and I appreciate Southern Ohio Prepping for bringing me in. We've been friends for a while now, and he wanted you guys to hear this information. This stuff is freely available and you can get your hands on it. Like I said, every once in a while, Bobby will give them out for free. The book is dirt cheap on Amazon. I was not going to allow a $25 price tag to be put on this like I was told to do. I put this thing down as low as I possibly could to get it in your hands. And now we've got the coronavirus hitting everybody, and we need to be looking at our food storage. We need to be looking at getting healthy foods back in our own yards and taking care of ourselves. Get this book out to your neighbors. Start, I mean, the exchange, like you were talking about, you know, take your excess to an exchange. I exchange with my neighbors tremendously because I hate tomatoes. I've got 600 pounds of tomatoes to give away. You can't believe what I get back. And I won't even go into that stuff, but oh my God, yes, absolutely. Trade off everything you don't need or you have excess in. So grow it all and have fun with it. And it's amazing how much calmer you become. You know, we're all going to get stir crazy for the next 2 weeks. We're all locked up in Ohio. All these businesses are closing. They're demanding we stay home for 2 weeks. We're all going to go stir crazy. Not me. I'm going to go cut my grass because it already needs to be cut. We just lost our snow. Yep. My yard grows that fast, even in the middle of winter.
Okay. You got a question up there on the screen from Sherry K. She's asking, if I have invasive red raspberries growing, how do I get rid of this problem?
That would be page 59 video on Green Wizard. That is the recipe. That is the vinegar salt recipe that you mix up and just spray on the plant, and it burns the plant up.
Now, I want to address something in here. Lori was asking about the sunflower seed. Okay, wouldn't the sunflower seeds also absorb the minerals and toxins? I believe you said that they would, and that 1 year get rid of them.
1 year to get rid of them, and then the following year you're safe. And understand that what the sunflower does, as it absorbs all of those minerals, it actually turns them off and makes them non-toxic anymore. So sunflower seeds might be perfectly okay the second year that you're growing sunflowers. As long as you're growing sunflowers every once in a while, you're knocking down the problem. Sunflowers neutralize these heavy metals, and some of the other plants that I covered in another video neutralize these heavy minerals and these heavy toxins that we're all fighting with. We need to get those toxins out of our system. Sherry Kay and I have been talking, and we're going to be getting together. She is a She is a chef extraordinaire and a keto diet person. And I'm going to take my vitamin and mineral information and her dietary and her cooking and her everything. And we're going to start doing videos. One of the things like getting rid of these heavy metal toxins and getting yourself healthier is just Epsom salt soaking your feet every night. And you would be amazed how dirty that water gets just by using Epsom salt to get rid of. And yes, I tell you, use Epsom salt in your yard and in your garden. It's a nitrogen builder, but it's also a heavy metal toxins neutralizer. It will flush those metals out of your garden. Every step of the Green Wizard's Guide is doing something else while it's doing the same thing to help you. And you get the most incredible results that you've never seen before.
Yeah.
Now, a few of you have followed me on Facebook, and you're wondering why for my, what was it, nine months, almost 10 months of grass cutting, why I cut my grass 42 times in those amount of months. I'm getting my grass to go deeper in its root base. That's why 42 times. I'm trying to force it to go deeper. If you cut your grass excessively or repetitively, the energy will go someplace else. It'll go into the roots and go deeper and deeper. That doesn't mean you have to. You could be cutting half as much and only cutting 20 times or less than that and still be getting incredible results. But, just like Jerry, he couldn't cut as much and burned up 2 lawnmowers, 3 lawnmowers, and a tractor, I think. But that's just the way it goes. Your yard gets healthy, everything explodes. It's incredible.
Now, I have a suggestion for everyone that follows this. And if they're producing too much food and they don't need to go to the a co-op or a farmer's market to trade off, hey, your local food bank would be glad to have that, or your local Loaves and Fishes be glad to have that extra food.
All righty, Lori. Yeah, I appreciate you, dear. You have a great night.
Yeah. Take it easy, Lori. Hey, Gunslinger.
Ron, have you visited a Discord channel yet?
No, I've not had a chance to.
Well, I'm gonna.
I know how they work. I've been in one, so I understand it. I haven't done it yet.
This is a link to mine. The link expires in 1 day. You and Bobby should join up. And I do have a place for gardening tips and tricks in there. It's got homesteaders and preppers both in the server. I've got over 2 gigs of downloadable information, and I'm sure you probably got 1 or 2 things you might want to add to.
Yeah, it's really cool. People are over there talking all the time. Sometimes I just go over and I don't go into it much. I'll go over and I'll just kind of watch and listen, to watch what people are talking about. But
gee, I'm gonna have to give you an entirely new role.
all right, let's see. Oh, I'm going to be spending some money my wife ain't going to like. I can get a 40-pound bag of stuff and some of the other things and start spreading it around here. Yeah, I bought this property about in 2016, but this is the first year I've actually spent a lot of time up here after I retired. The guy that had the property, the old man, had horses out there just beat 2.5 acres, or actually about 3.5 acres to death. Practically, and the only thing grows out there is star thistle and morning glory. So I've got the local dairy bringing in several tons of manure from the dairy here in a couple of weeks, just to spread out there, so I can try and get that mineral put on there too. Try to revive this land here.
Okay, well, understand that a lot of those weeds that you're facing are actually trying to fix the soil also.
Yeah.
So don't go do a mass kill off, because they're actually trying to help.
Yeah. I'm also going to get one of the guys said he'd give me a supply of clover and alfalfa seed to spread out there.
Awesome. There you go. Now you're talking.
because he doesn't want the weed seed blown over into his place.
There you go,
Well,
Ron.
the weeds will naturally go away as you start applying this stuff. You're going to kill off the weeds.
Yeah.
And let him read the book, and he'll understand. Page 26, the weed killers, and their feed too. They are a nitrogen building weed killer. They kill the weed seeds. Get your neighbor to get a copy of the book, and he'll understand that. Oh, even if you do send some random seed into his property, that by utilizing this system, not only can he nitrogen, he can also kill off any weed seed you accidentally sent across the fence.
Yep. Yeah, I just picked up the Kindle version from you, and I put it on all my devices, including my wife's. She's going to say, "What the heck is this?"
Ron, you are now the administrator of the gardening tips and tricks part of the channel.
Okay.
So you have permissions to add, delete content on that part of the server.
Okay. Did I get my authorization link?
Don't need one. Unless you need to update an email or something like that. But
No. It was just telling me that I should expect an email.
oh yeah, it'll take a minute or two for Discord to send you a verification link.
Yeah, Sherry K. All parts of dandelions are edible.
Hey, Big Dreams. And of course, Bob is in there now.
Hey, Big Dreams.
But under the text channels, you'll see one that says a hashtag gardening tips and tricks. That's your domain there, Chief.
Alrighty, so I see we've got a couple of new people come in. Hey, Gunslinger, how you been, buddy? Haven't seen you in a bit. Any questions? Anything I can step up on?
There's a question in there
else?
from Big Dreams. There, he just put it up. He just put it up on the screen here.
Hey, everyone. Which herbs? All of them. All of them. Oh my God. You plant mint to drive off certain bugs, and you do this, that, and the other. I mean, I can't think of any herbs that I wouldn't be growing. No, Bobby, not 420. But I just, all of this stuff is incredible and healthy and loaded with vitamins and has all of this other stuff going on. I wouldn't stop at any specific herb, or say a specific herb. Sherry K might have an answer from the keto side of it to give you a specific one that you might want to specifically look at, dietary wise, that is highly medicinal and what have you. But yeah, I can't think of a single herb I would not be growing and drying and getting back into my stores.
She was referring to mainly medicinal type herbs.
Yeah, well, Bobby would instantly, him and his crayons, just, well.
Big Dreams was asking about the medicinal style herbs. Which ones would you recommend for medicinal?
Oh, I'm waiting to see if Sherry K pops up with one specific. She's saying certain ones for your teas, which are going to be healthy and push you a little bit. I mean, honestly, there's so many in the field and so many wild, what we call, and that just drives me crazy. So many people, just like the dandelion, want to call weeds a bad thing, and they're actually not. They're actually repairing soil conditions. They're fixing problems. As you change the soil conditions, as you understand the food web, a lot of the weeds just naturally stop and will not continue on and will go a different direction, and you'll actually lose what you consider a weed right out of your yard. It's phenomenal what can happen.
Okay.
There you go. There's one. Yeah, Sherry K is answering your question.
Overbuild asked, do you recommend him getting his soil tested to see what it may
No.
need?
No, absolutely not. What is going on? Discord went absolutely bonkers on my computer. I told it to put the desktop app on and it just took over my computer. Holy cow.
Yeah, go ahead. 5 minutes.
Okay.
No, see, this is the misunderstanding, and this is where people absolutely lose their minds. When you start repairing your soils, this BS of test your soils. Is it acidic? Is it neutral? Is it this? Is it that? That's all hogwash right out of the NPK handbook of turning your soils toxic and living on chemicals. We have to get away from that. You don't need your soil tested to understand that, hey, look, my roses are growing great. That must be an acidic area. If I add ashes to that, that's going to neutralize it. That's why so many people, and that's why they outlawed fireplaces as far as I'm concerned. You know, you're not allowed to have a fireplace that's going to neutralize your soil. They want you to go buy a chemical. Wonder why they passed that ordinance. You don't need to test your soils to understand what's going on. You need to understand the food web and take care of it. It will fix the soil conditions for you. That's the understanding. This stuff will naturally turn around and fix a lot of problems just by following the Green Wizard's guide. You become pest-free, rodent-free. Your soils correct their own conditions, get back to a neutral, and give you incredible results. As long as you understand what's going on with the soil, every plant can thrive. And I don't acidic feed my roses, and I've got a 35 foot tall rose growing over my house. It's growing absolutely phenomenal, and I am not pushing a high acid in the area. There's no reason. I give it enough nutrients that that thing just goes like crazy on the vitamins and the minerals. And that's all I do. I make sure the food web is fed, and I make sure I've got my vitamins and minerals in the soils, and everything takes off. And I only have to do that once every 3 years. I am not spending a fortune every single year. My yard this year for 3 years worth of supplies was $150. When I went to the big box stores to see what the NPK process was going to cost me, it was $250 for 1 year. Not 3 years worth of supplies, 1 year for $150 versus, or I'm sorry, $250 on the NPK process, which is toxic. So go the opposite direction. Start understanding the organics of the soil and let things go crazy.
Well, Sherry's going crazy out there.
Yeah.
Oh, I knew she knew the answer.
Yeah. Does Sherry come up on any live streams?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Constantly with us.
Cool.
Like I said, her and I are planning a health and wellness set of videos, an entire battery of them, where we're going to start with the thyroid and work all the way through the human body and what you need for both keto and your nutrition on every aspect, starting from the thyroid, working all the way down to, well, the loss of excess.
Yeah, because I mean, some of the channels I follow talk about keto a bit, and I'm thinking I need to get some people up here to do a keto on one of my live streams.
There's the lady for you.
Okay. Hey, Kathy, North Star Prepstetter is in the house. So let me go ahead and ping her over here.
Bobby, it's the wrong herb. I'm not talking about that herb. We're talking about stuff that you would put in actual food, not stuff to make you eat more. Actual.
Bobby.
Yeah, trust Bobby to make it funny.
Hey, a little levity sometimes helps make bad things a little easier.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Considering some of us are currently locked down to the four walls, and we're going to start bouncing our heads off the walls. We have more reason to try and communicate either via here or the Discord. So,
I'm keeping up, Overbuilt. It's all good. It's all good.
One of the things we need to consider too, while we are trapped, if you will, is your mental state. And a lot of foods will help keep you with a clearer mind. Yes. And having a place to go where you can vent or talk to somebody if you're alone. And I'm kind of alone. I got an 8-year-old. He doesn't understand half of what I talk about. So meeting people either here, Discord, or Facebook, just got to be careful what you say on Facebook. You wind up Facebook prison. Keep in mind that you need to talk. Don't try locking yourself into the house and not going outside and doing some gardening or finding some place to talk with people. One of the things I'm good at is listening. So don't hesitate to hit me up if you need somebody to talk to, and while you're eating your salad, trying to calm your mental state.
Well, and we were talking about that the other day. Sherry, I, and Bobby had a chance to sit down and talk about some stuff, and we're all going under lockdown, and the whole situation is going to tremendously get worse. If you have the ability to get your hands on green tea versus coffee and switch over to drinking green tea and get away from the caffeine, and understand green tea will take care of the coffee cravings. So it kind of counterbalances itself. But it turns out the caffeine actually increases our anxiety. So this next 2-3 weeks of people sitting at home drinking lots of coffee and pots of it and this, that, and the other, the anxiety levels are going to go through the roof. If you have the ability to switch to green tea and back away from the coffee, your anxiety levels will actually drop. It's actually healthier for you to drink the green teas than it is to drink coffee. Now, I'm addicted to it. I'm never going to switch over, but I spend so much time in my yard and my garden, I have no anxiety.
I don't drink coffee. I drink water.
I got you, Overbuilt. Well, there's some medicinal reasons you might want to look at green teas, because some of the additives in there give you the minerals that you need.
Yeah. Right, Kathy. All right.
Any other questions, folks?
One quick question for Sherry. I do so. My lives are on Tuesday night, Friday night, and Saturday night. Which night is best for you to come talk about keto?
And there's your answer, Urban. Matcha is the best green tea to go after.
Oh, Mimsy's having a problem seeing things.
Yeah, I noticed that she came in, saw, so she's going to watch it on the replay. She can't see this chat.
Oh, she said that's all she can see.
Oh, that's all she can see. Oh.
Oh, it didn't.
Oh, I wonder if she clicked the wrong button up there. That just explains the chat and nothing else, and wipes everything else.
Oh yeah, instead of top chat, she may have popped the chat out. Oops. Yeah, restart YouTube to fix that. It'll automatically fix it.
All right.
Sherry said Saturday.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I already got this Saturday scheduled. So Sherry, how about the 28th? And I will. If you can, if you go to my channel, my email's down in there on the about page. Email me. It's really simple. Camp Patton Family Compound at Gmail. Just take the spaces out.
Yeah, she's on her cell phone doing this. She's not on a computer, so it's going to
Yeah,
be.
but that way she can remember that she can just, it's just Camp Patton Family Compound. And there's 2 P's in there, one for camp and one for Patton. It's all goes together.
Overbuilt, I'm exactly the same way. I love my coffee. It's going to be hard, but I'm on the Mighty 90 minerals already, so I'm not so much concerned. One of the links I put up earlier showed you the minerals, the Bloomin' minerals. If you follow that backwards, you can actually get out to the Mighty 90 minerals that I talk about. Vitamins and minerals that I take, they are abundantly available through my link there. I take those. I'm not necessarily concerned about some of the other things that I do take. I have gotten the complete house off of table salt and gone over to Himalayan sea salt for the higher iodine levels, which again clears the mind, fixes the thyroid, makes you more aware of what's going on, and fixes some other things. If any of you are on the sodium table salts, I would suggest using that on ice in your driveway from now on until it's gone, and going to grinders of Himalayan sea salt.
Mm-hmm.
I understand there's also a Pacific green sea salt that's available that is also in grinder form that has an even higher iodine level available.
Okay. Thank you, Kathy. Yeah, Kathy threw my email in there for people.
Yeah, she's got that click copy paste mechanism down pat.
Yep.
Yes, Celtic sea salt's the same thing. That's the stuff I use. I'm right there along with you. Oh, absolutely, urban prepper, and that's one of the things that Sherry and I have been talking about is addressing some of those issues, especially like with the thyroid. When you start to get away from certain sugars, and we're talking about what they now call regular sugars, you want pure cane. You don't want beet sugar, which is what a lot of the sugars are now made of. There's a toxic aspect to that actually slows down the thyroid and causes obesity. By getting off of some of these other chemicals, and the power drinks are the worst, absolutely the worst. The 5-hour energies and what have you, they coat the thyroid so bad that the thyroid can't function, and you're instantly losing. Anytime you ingest and or absorb iodine, it stops your body from taking that and turning it into T1, T2, and T4 that feed the brain and sharpen up a lot of these functions that kick back in your digestive system and how fast things burn off and your metabolism and what have you. Absolutely, by just getting rid of table salt, you can start remedying those problems.
Yeah, those energies are your heart too.
Oh God, they're terrible for you. Oh my God, they've done some autopsies on people, and all their organs are blocked up and shut down, and I mean, just causing all sorts of massive problems because the stuff doesn't digest. It doesn't leave the body. We're talking about 25 and 26-year-olds dying for no reason, and then when they go to do the autopsy, their organs are completely blocked up with energy drinks, and here it turns out they've been drinking 5 and 10 of these things a day.
Yeah. I don't know if Tibor is still in here or not. Tibor, are you still here? Yeah, Tibor's wife has had her thyroid removed, I believe, and she's on all sorts of medications.
Sherry can help with that. She's done the same thing.
Yeah, and he's been really concerned about getting medications if everything shuts down.
Sherry can help with a lot of that. Yeah, we're a powerhouse team together, and then we've got Mr. Crayon over there that keeps us entertained and makes it all funny. So between the three of us, I mean, we.
Yeah, all you got to do is catch Bobby on Jerry's channel once or twice. You'll understand. They radiated her thyroid.
away. Yeah. Black walnut root replaces thyroid medication. There you go. Yeah, because Doc Bones and Nurse Amy gave us some stuff for some. What was that desiccated thyroid thing that was made down in Australia? That
It's desiccated bovine thyroid.
Yeah.
Oh, right, Texan. Absolutely. Absolutely. 100% right. Oh yeah, once the T4s drop out and a lot of the digestive system starts to shut down, she's constantly going to be sick. She's going to constantly have all sorts of other issues and phenomena going on. And like I said, Sherry had the same thing. She's had hers removed. So she's dealing with these issues, but she's dealing with them in a more organic way and has a lot of the solutions in the organic field where you can't get the medications, but there's other solutions that are proven lifelong solutions. Just like colloidal silver, people don't understand how tremendously important this stuff is. And the Orientals knew about it way back when they were building the wall in China. Oh my God, the history is phenomenal on colloidal silver, and it's been out there forever. The only people preaching against colloidal silver are the ones peddling the chemicals.
Mainstream.
Yeah, I mean, I have a problem with a lot of quote medical doctors or the modern medical practice, because it is a practice. They're practicing on us.
Right.
I was in several bad accidents. First I was rear-ended, and then I was in an industrial accident. They tried to send me to a physical therapist for my back. Made me worse the first day. Never went back. Got a good old chiropractor that had degrees upon degrees. He was a chiropractor, had his orthopedics doctorate as well. Hey, I have not been. It took him about 8 years to get me fixed up, but that's been 7 years ago. I haven't been back, to him. I haven't had to go back to him. Good old fashioned, treat the problem, not the symptoms.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Don't make my life a little bit more physical and a little bit more understanding and help me deal with the problem, cure it. And you can cure it through eating good foods out of your garden. You can cure it by understanding what nature provides and going a slightly different direction. Cure the problem, not dealing with the situation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had to laugh when you were talking about the sunflowers. My wife grew sunflowers last year, she's turned a front yard. We have no lawn in the front yard in California.
That's awesome.
It is a garden, raised planter beds. She has strawberries growing all over outside the raised planter beds. We got borage, but she planted several sunflowers. I mean, those suckers were about that big around on the stalk on the bottom. They were over 12 feet tall.
Yep.
And yeah, she uses all the compost. She hates Miracle Grow. And she just uses all the natural stuff she can in her garden. And it's just, yeah. So, as this live talk about sunflowers, I remember looking up. Yeah, okay, that's a tall sunflower.
No, that mineral occurs naturally, North Star. But yeah, now when you take your system and you give her this system to apply to those sunflowers, and you let the soils do what they're supposed to do, and you don't let them, get exposed to sunlight, and you make sure they've got the right amount of water, and you make sure they get the right amount of air and what have you, because aeration is important. When all of the conditions are right, that what was a 12-foot sunflower will probably grow another 5 feet taller.
Need a change.
I know that's the last thing you want to hear, but it's phenomenal what can happen when the soils start working correctly.
Like Dave said, I'll need a chainsaw to take it down in the fall.
Right. but it's incredible, you know, and just cut it down and leave the roots alone. Plant another sunflower right there the following year.
Yeah.
Because what's going on in those roots, you want to reproduce itself the next year. And the entire food web goes dormant over the winter and then comes right back to life when it comes in contact with the same roots and brings back the same minerals that that plant needed to begin with. It's incredible what Mother Nature has given us that we have slowly destroyed and deteriorated under the NPK system.
Ooh, what's that? Texan says 2 times iodine from Infowers.
X2 iodine from Infowars. Absolutely, brother. Absolutely, because it's being pulled from Himalayan sea salt. They found another way of bringing it down. Survival Shield X2, absolutely 100%. I overdose on this stuff plus the iodine in the salt. Absolutely 100%. Totally agree.
Okay. Any more questions out there for Ron?
Investigations and talking. Alrighty, Overboat. Hey, anytime you want, you can email me at the Green Wizard, no spaces, at hotmail.com, and I can lead you in other directions. I have another channel that deals with nothing but health. And if you've got issues, throw them at me. I will gladly do videos, answer questions, do whatever you need to try and help out. Because it's all about the community. It's all about all of us helping each other. You know, I'm going to ask all of you, please share this video out. Give it a thumbs up. Get everybody to understand the Green Wizard's Guide is a fun 2-hour read that's going to give you the ability to plant the most incredible garden you've ever seen this year. No hesitation, this year. And you're going to enjoy the book. God forbid you read something you actually laugh at, right?
Mm-hmm.
With everything else that's going on in our world today, and as scary and frightening as everything else is, do you want to pick up a newspaper or turn on the TV to see the news? Absolutely not. But if you can read something funny and have a good time doing it and learn something to figure out exactly what you can use that's already in your home, already in your yard to improve your conditions, why wouldn't you read the Green Wizard's Guide? No, not Whole Foods.